SL title?
I think you've already heard from Millie before. We take everything in small chunks, daily chunks, to build towards a game, and I don't think this game has any different impact on us than it did the week before or the week prior to that, because we've had to win every game. So it's easy for us in our mindset to know that we have to do that, but you have to build towards it. You can't, you have to train properly, you have to recover properly, you have to prepare your mindset and all of that energy to be spent on game day, not in the days leading up to it. So, and I think our squad do really, really well at managing that.
In a situation like this, is it about being as repetitive as possible with all of your good habits?
I think coaches always find these questions really unusual, if I'm being honest with you, because for us, nothing changes. As much as there is a sense that maybe one game's bigger than the other, the realities are, do you prepare differently for your press conference, I don't know, away at Bristol next week than you do for mine? No, you prepare the same way because you're a top pro. Otherwise you wouldn't work for Sky, right? So it's exactly the same for us, that and that takes a lot of work on self-regulation over a long period of time. And I think that's what Millie's referring to, is that the work we do in-house over a long time is to make sure that players understand that being a professional is not a Mercedes-Benz and a wash bag that we often think that it might be. And in the women's game, women's teams have had to learn, some might be a bit more advanced than others, at everybody learning what an actual top professional is. And I'm fortunate enough we have a lot of them in the dressing room that have had to learn, whether that's through different championships, different losses, different situations. And you can see in the way that Millie speaks that sentiment is shared across the board, because it's people like Millie that are driving those standards daily, not me. I just, don't know what I do, to be honest. But not that, it's the players that drive that standard.
And looking back to that first game of the season against Arsenal, from that moment onwards, has this rivalry have you pushed each other the whole way through the season?
Look, this rivalry has been a narrative for you guys, less so for us, because it's just Arsenal this year. Last year it was City, and I think Younes has been a brilliant addition to the league in terms of raising the standards for Arsenal and putting them in a front-footed position to compete for the title. And like Millie says, we want to go into the last day, not only in the position we're in, but having to win a title on that day. That's top competitors, is actually what they want. Don't want the easy wins, you want the tough rides, and we want to be in the position against the team who I rate highly and respect the work Mark's doing there. I think he's had an amazing year as a manager. But I'm in the place I want to be, and the team are in the place they want to be. We win, we're champions. And that's all I'm focusing on, is doing everything possible to get that done Sunday.
And just the final one, we've heard nice tributes for 3 outgoing players. It would be such a perfect way to end for them. What are your own memories of them, and how much are you driven by giving them that send-off?
You know what, I think, like, you're asking the questions about it being emotional for everyone. I think Millie is correct in what she's saying, that we dealt with that in the early part of the week, because it's important that it's dealt with then so that we can prepare properly. I think with regards to tributes to these 3 people, I will say this much: I'll talk about it afterwards, because I want all of our focus and attention on going into the game. Those 3 people know what we think, and that after, when we're done, then we will give them the fitting tribute they deserve.
Thanks, Emma. Good luck.
Thanks.
Emma, you're the biggest name in women's football. Your team are the biggest name in women's football. How do you deal with that pressure?
I'm from a council estate. Trust you me, pressure was putting money on the table to pay the bills as a child. This is not pressure. Look at the cost of inflation. I say this weekly. Look at the rising cost for people to pay their bills. This is far from pressure. This is a joy. I love my job. I enjoy the situation, but more importantly, I enjoy representing a club that I absolutely adore. And to be in a position where we can continue to win on behalf of Chelsea is something I think I was born for. So there's no pressure to the situation. There is just maybe a wiser, older coach that is enjoying it a little more perhaps than the past. And I don't mean in terms of, we all know no one's over the line. We have to beat Manchester United to win the league. So that objective is clear. But I certainly have enjoyed and relished the challenge and taken it in a much different level perhaps than I have in the past.
You won 10 titles, 11 if like Jose you count the Community Shield. Do you get nervous ahead of a game like this?
Do you know, I get really nervous when Harry won't get out of the door on time to get to school. That's when I get anxious, and that's when I have to work on making sure if I'm going to get him out on time, he's got to mirror my body language, so I have to figure out my own emotional stress levels, and every parent will relate to that. I get nervous around my child going too fast on his bike, heading towards the end of the road, and trust you me, this morning I was terrified at the speed. That's nerves. This is pleasure. This is joy. This is a release. This is, as Millie said, a dressing room of people that are amazing. Like, it's not, we don't say this for the cameras, like we really get, I'm not saying we're a family. We fight, we disagree, we fall out. All those things happen behind the curtain, but there is an unwavering commitment to progress and to push each other to the limits. And that is, when you work in the top level, that's all you could ask for. So there's no group of people I'd prefer to do it with, and I'm extremely proud of the journey we've been on this season because it hasn't been plain sailing. But as I've said 1,000 times, this was always going to go to the last day. So we're ready. We just want kickoff to come, to be honest.
So I interviewed thousands of people over a season, from the biggest superstars to non-league players, and they all tend to trot out at some point a cliche or two. I love your perspective here. Is that what makes you successful? The perspective you have of what your son does is way more important in terms of a life skill than whether or not Millie Brighthead's a lawyer has a way of calling them.
You know, I just never forget failing so badly when I was in Chicago, and it sticks in my brain at how I let so much affect me. The growth of social media, lots of different owners in my head, not feeling like I could find a clear solution. It was such a profound moment for me that I promised myself that whatever happened from that day, that I was always going to live much differently as a coach, and I have ever since. So I could definitely find a few cliches. I've probably spout them out some of the time, but to be honest with you, I'm just blessed to be in the position I'm in for as long as I've been in, and grateful that we have the opportunity to compete for the title on Sunday.
And finally, although he obviously stresses you out by going too fast on his bike,
Yeah.
how much can Harry, over between now and kick-off time, actually take away a lot of stress and worry about whether or not you picked the right team, the right formation, and gone through everything by just concentrating on making sure that what he needs this weekend is more important?
My niece was 9 yesterday, and I didn't make it home in time for birthday cake. And she got upset, and she said, "My family are not here, they haven't come." And 2 minutes before I knocked at the door, she got a bit teary. And Harry, who's not 4 yet, walked over to her and he said, "Bella, when you're sad, think of all the good things that happened today." And she said, "I made up with Jasmine today," her friend. And Harry said, "That's something to be happy about. Let's sing happy birthday again and celebrate your friend Jasmine." And I walked in, they were embraced in a hug, 4 and 9. And I thought to myself, these are the moments in life that I will, express my daily emotion, because in this job, it's a process of having to manage a very intense cycle where I've already expressed before, the adrenaline of games is already quite emotional. You have to try and you train to stay even keel, not for you guys, but because we have to stay healthy as managers, and that's my priority, to stay healthy for my son.
Let's do last questions for the broadcast section with Emma at the BBC.
Hi Yeah, I just wanted to kind of follow on what you were saying there about Harry. I know before the FA Cup final you said that, you know, kind of the more times you've been in those big moments, you've learned to enjoy them a little bit more. Is that kind of the case this time around? Do you feel like you've almost had those experiences that you can enjoy this one a little bit more than perhaps the FA Cup final a few months ago?
Yeah, life is too short. There's enough stress, there's enough worry, there's enough anxiety. I think I'm 45 years of age. I've finally got a handle on my hormones, at least this week. I'm just going to enjoy myself. Pick the right nail colour, match Chelsea blue. Going to enjoy it.
Yeah, my nails are a state at the moment, so I need to join you on that. In terms of the title race this season, I know you don't prioritise trophies, but if you were over the line, do you think it would be probably one of the hardest campaigns you've had so far? You spent obviously a lot of time with the games in hand, and you know a lot of the other teams have had things to fight for. Do you felt that's the case?
I think ask me Sunday. I'll reflect then, because only then can I go backwards. Right now I'm staying in just the small chunks I discussed of game to game.
And just finally from me, the usual team news, is there anyone who will be unavailable?
Just Fran. Everyone else fit.
No, as well. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you. That's